Hey smokers, Druggle1 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the LAN Party Suitcase. Now, kind of an interesting thing to decide to put together at this point in time. LAN parties, really? Well, that's not actually happening, but the inspiration hit and it was a project I wanted to, make. So you're probably wondering, what is the LAN Party Suitcase? Well, before I entirely explain that, let's go back a little bit. Well, the inspiration for making it originally stemmed from last year when I was at a LAN party. Now, I'm not talking about a big-time LAN party like this. There was only 5 of us, but I would say it's probably the biggest LAN party I've ever been to. Oddly enough, though, the #1 game we were going to play was Team Fortress 2, which obviously is an online game, and I suppose you could set it up to only have a LAN server going, but we actually played Team Fortress 2. But of course we did play some other games like Unreal Gold, UT 2004, Star Trek Voyager Elite Force, games that make a little bit more sense for playing LAN. Now you may remember the Gateway FX. The Gateway FX is what one of my friends called it back in the day as the mecca of gaming excellence or technology. I don't really remember what the quote was exactly, but he used the word mecca, I remember that. Because at the time, none of my friends had a computer that was quite as good as it. It was a gaming laptop from 2008, and for many, many years, it was the best laptop I had. And so when it came time to go to a LAN party, I took this computer and threw it in this suitcase and took it over to the LAN party. I wasn't too concerned because we were only going to be playing pretty simple games, and this is the computer I first played Team Fortress 2 on. And I played it at max graphics back in the day before it was even free to play. So I thought, oh, it's going to be no issue playing this game. But little did I know, times have changed, and so has Team Fortress 2. And the game ran like absolute shit. So this is what gameplay looks like. This is not even an online game. This is versus bots. We're dropping below 10 FPS. Now, given this is the maximum number of bots, but this is almost unplayable. Holy shit. It wasn't actually, I feel like it wasn't this bad when I was at the LAN party, but this is with the graphics all the way down. You can see how crappy that looks. Oh my god. So when everybody saw my computer chugging like absolute shit, it was pretty embarrassing. Everybody else's computer was handling the game just fine, although I think everybody else had desktop PCs that they were using, and I was using my laptop from the fucking Stone Ages. But this game used to run good on this computer. This is a Gateway FX, this is a gaming machine. Team Fortress 2 came out 1 year before this computer, and it used to run all kinds of good. But they've made some improvements to the game, and now it just doesn't run like it used to. I don't know what happened. Now, part of that might be the fact that I'm running Windows 10. It turns out that that might have something to do with it, actually. When I first played Team Fortress 2 on this machine, I was on Windows Vista. That's the operating system it kind of came with. And I only have a Nvidia GeForce 9800 GT with 1 gig of VRAM. Well, Unreal, the original Unreal, which is actually the old Unreal edition, works and plays absolutely fine. Because, oh yeah, this game came out in the late 90s. It's just going to run good no matter what. This game runs good on the G4 Cube. So the original question has been unanswered. What is the LAN Party Suitcase, or briefcase, or whatever the hell you want to call it? Well, the reason I made it is because this boy can no longer be used as a LAN party computer, and I felt that it was somewhat unnecessary to buy a whole nother laptop just so I can use it for LAN parties that I'm definitely not going to be doing anytime soon. So I outlined some limitations to the project. I wanted to use existing materials, stuff that I already had laying around, and for those that I didn't want to spend too much money on it just because, I might not be able to go to a LAN party for a while. Well, We won't know what's in the suitcase until we unlock it. This is my ultimate LAN party machine. Now, I'm sure you have a couple questions. I'd be glad to answer them for you. Now, this is kind of like a beta prototype of the LAN Party Briefcase. It's definitely a work in progress. The items that I did need to specifically purchase for this was this 12-inch monitor and this power supply. Now, I had a power supply in this form factor I could have used, but it didn't have quite the amount of power I needed. Now, I didn't look very far, but the highest wattage one in this form factor I could find was this wattage right here that I'm pretty happy with. And you're probably thinking, what a mess. And what was this for? So this is the foam. It has to go here. See, there's a bunch of junk right here that is kind of loose. So the foam there protects the monitor from the junk. And when this closes, it kind of dodges everything pretty well. When I put this thing together initially, it was a little bit more of a puzzle than it was anything else to figure out where stuff needed to go in the case, because one thing would block another thing that would block another thing. So the power supply had to go right here because it would end up touching this part of the case. The motherboard needed to be right here in this orientation because the fan needs to go here. Otherwise it'll hit the monitor. And you're probably thinking, well, why didn't you just get a monitor that was thinner than this? Because this, when it, take a look here, it's like almost flush with the edge of the case. It's like as thick as this. Well, I ended up looking, I bought it on Amazon, and it had a description for the dimensions of it. And it was actually shown to be a bit thinner in the description dimensions, and it's actually thicker. So I actually got lucky that it wasn't too thick. So yeah, so this is connected via HDMI, and right now the video card isn't even plugged in. So this is one of the compromises I had to make for the project. The video card is a Nvidia Gtx 745, and as you can see, it's a low profile card, and I have the VGA portion removed so that it would easier fit in the case. Now when this is plugged into the board, the display will hit it. So I need to unplug that and put that here. As you can see, it boots off of an SSD, and we have the power cable that both the monitor and the power supply are plugged into over there. So it is pretty much using up 100% of the space in here. The board in question here is a micro ATX board. Couldn't really go anything bigger. It's kind of in there at an angle. It's pretty jank. Now it's connected to a plate here. This is a plate that I literally cut out of just some random Dell, and it's bolted to the bottom of the case. So it's in there pretty firmly, and since I didn't screw it directly into the wood, I can replace and put another motherboard in there, and we're actually going to get to that a little bit later. Now, as you can see, I have my mouse tucked in there. So this is supposed to be a totally self-contained everything case. Do it and you're done. Now, we're kind of missing something that would be kind of big. You noticed earlier that it had a keyboard on top. Obviously, that's not going to fit very well. And so you might have been thinking, oh, so you got to carry the keyboard around with you. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to keep a hand free for some Cheetos. So I decided to get a keyboard that's a little bit better and will fit in there along with everything else. It's probably a little bit too tiny, but as long as I can do this, I think we'll be okay. Hopefully. Haven't really tested it for gaming though. There was also the option of a roll-up keyboard that would be full size, but I had really bad reviews on that one. And then there were some Bluetooth foldable ones, but I don't have a Bluetooth antenna on this board, and I wasn't really too keen on getting a dongle and then having this like disconnect on me and other crappy stuff, and then have to worry about recharging it. I just wanted it to work as boneheaded as this all is. So yeah, this is the whole shebang here. And then of course we got the power cable. Now, I probably could use a different power cable here, because this is really all the slack I have right now, unless I wanted to like kind of pull this out and run it somewhere else, which I can do. The reason I'm doing this is so that I don't have to have two separate plugs to plug in wherever, and say someone just presented me with a power strip at a LAN party, I'm not going to be like, hey, can you like let me plug in this and this? I'm just like, here's this, I'm ready to go. And that's it. Now the downside to this board is it doesn't have Wi-Fi, so I'd also need to be provided with a Ethernet cable as well. Not a big deal, but we'll be fixing that pretty soon here. So some of the cables are kind of snaked around in here. I'm going to plug this in so you can see what it looks like when it's turned on. Monitor has turned on. So you might be wondering, hey Draga, why didn't you make a video of yourself building this? Well, one of the reasons is I just kind of got excited, and I just went gung-ho on the project one weekend, and if I had to set up a camera and start talking into things, then have to worry about editing, it probably wouldn't have gone so well. And then I might have stopped in the middle and wouldn't have gone back to it and would have just been a huge mess. It was the only way for me to go all the way through and finish it to the end, even though we're not technically at the end yet. So time to plug in the video card. Now this video card supposedly can play Battlefield 1. But the problem is I'll never be doing that with this computer because this is a Core 2 quad from the same era as my Gateway FX. Better than its Core 2 Duo, mind you, but it's still pretty weak. Plug in HDMI. Almost forgot the power button. There we go. I really do like the monitor. The monitor is like my most favorite thing in the whole thing. It's I basically just screwed VISA screws through the top of the case, drilled holes in the case, and just put them all the way through, and that was all that there was to do. And it holds in there pretty good. It's not going anywhere. I'm not going to push it though. I'm going to sort of be a little gentle with this thing. Haven't really jostled it around much, but I kind of intended it for it to be kind of kicked around a little bit, just because, you know, we're going to a LAN party, moving this around, whatever. Throw it in my car and go. So here we are again. Now, of course, the big downside, obviously, is we have a small-ass screen that doesn't really have that good of a viewing angle. It's actually kind of crap. I haven't really played with it much to see how good it is, like, when playing a game. You're probably thinking, well, you could have solved two problems here, Draga. You could have taken the Gateway FX's display, lopped it off of this thing, and put it in the back, and then it'd be thin enough for you to use bigger parts, because it would have been lying flush with the back, and you'd have so much extra room. Well, usually when it comes to taking a display off of a laptop, it usually uses proprietary display driver circuitry, and I'd have to adapt that in some way, and I'd have to do some crazy soldering, maybe provide my own power supply, solder multi-pin connectors. It'd be an absolute mess, and I don't really know how to do that. So this was my solution. Could I find a better display that was thinner? Sure. And then mount it better? Sure. But I was only willing to spend so much money on this just because I just wanted to use what existing parts I had to make this thing work, and so far it has. So now for the biggest point of comparison, we got to play Team Fortress 2 to see if we can actually get to something that looks a little bit better than, you know, Embarrassment Town with the Gateway FX. Okay, so we're going to try the exact same map, the exact same number of players, and this game is also running at the lowest settings, I think. But you can see that it's running a whole lot smoother because now we're using a better processor and a better video card. Yeah, this little low-profile video card is better than the 9800 GT. No big surprise. It is a GTX 745, so definitely better. And at this point in time, we'd probably be around 20 FPS. Now we're at 45. This is 720p. The actual monitor supports just a little bit above that. Not all charging from here this time. You can see that it's a little bit more playable. And it doesn't look like it's crapping out. But we're still at about 30 FPS when we should be at 60 in a situation like this. It is still kind of crapping, but this will at least won't get any heads turning with people saying, wow, your computer sucks. So, yeah, and this is me playing on the mini keyboard too, with the mouse that was in the box, so yeah, it works. I can play a first-person shooter like this. It'll get me by. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to do. Now, there's a couple things I want to accomplish today. Number one, I want a better motherboard. This is a third generation i5 and 8 gigs of RAM. It's a micro ATX, and it might just get our FPS right where we want it. But if that doesn't work, I also have a spare GTX 660. Now, this is where things are getting a little nutty, and we probably won't use this. This would, you would think, draw a little bit too much power. Now, I do have another power supply that's exactly the same size as this one, which I could use all by itself to power this, and I could put it right here, but the screen would hit it. And there's no other place I could put it. I can't put it here because then it'll hit this. I can't put it in the front because it'll hit that. This is the only place the power supply can be. Unless it's like in this corner, but then I lose the I/O. Oh, we'll just turn the motherboard, but then the cable won't stretch far enough. So it's a real head scratcher. And then I'm going to have even more clutter in the case. And actually, I think the way this is bolted in, it might not actually fit over there. There's not enough room. This isn't at an angle because it's weird. So it's like, So, what I'm going to do is take a look at this. This is a watt meter. It's going to tell me exactly how many watts the computer's using up currently, right now. And I mean just the computer, not the display. So this would mean I'd have to shut it down first. Now, when a power supply has a wattage rating on it, that means peak power. That means super emergency using everything it has power. And if it goes beyond that, a lot of switch mode power supplies will probably just shut off. Although I've never pushed a power supply to its limits like that. I've never underpowered a computer, so I don't actually know what goes on. This might work a lot better than I thought. Well, that's not great. At least you'll be able to see it. Okay, so even with it powered off, it says it's about 1.7 watts. Okay, so let's power it on. And we're using 80, 90. So about, now we're in Windows and we're about 115. 70, 64. The initial cranking of booting up, you saw the most of. So now it's going to start to crank down. Now this is desktop level shit. This is not a laptop. This is, this is going to use all the power it can, although still Energy Star compliant. So let's fire up TF2 again. Yes, I know it's extremely overexposed, but I want to make sure you can see the watt meter here, and that's really what matters. Now there's a couple things we need to take into account here when we're measuring in wattage. The Core 2 Quad takes up a maximum of X number of watts. I don't know how much it is. Probably not as much as like an i-series processor. And the GTX, this low profile card, a 745, probably doesn't take up that much power either. We switch over to an i5 and the GTX 660, and we're going to be pulling a lot more than you're seeing here. So as you can see, we're in game, and probably it's getting about as intense as it's going to get. We're at 110. It takes more power to push this many pixels. And remember, the wattage is absolutely everything. It's everything on the motherboard. It's the CPU. It's the graphics card. It's the SSD. It's the mouse and keyboard are all on this. The only thing that isn't is the display. So right about 60 FPS right now, and it floats around 100. Oh boy. 100. We're at most intense it's ever been. And we're at just around 100. I think I probably saw it maxed out at 115. I'm literally playing with the mouse up against my leg right now. I'm not a pro gamer, so... How many kilowatt hours, volts, amps. And the highest amount of wattage we've used, high. It hasn't gone above 113 watts, which is less than half of 420. So if we keep it under half, then the power supply is going to be doing all right. And of course, if we keep it under 420, then it's going to be all kinds of all right. So we just don't want to push it beyond. So the question is, how many watts does a GTX 660 use up, and how many watts does an i5 use up? Well, let me Google that and be right back. Okay, so from a basic Google search, I found out that the i5 3rd gen can take up a max of about 77 watts, no problem. However, the GTX 660 usually requires that you have at least a 450 to 500 watt power supply to use it. Now you're probably like, shit, we just went over budget. Well, the other thing that I looked up is comparing the GTX 745, that boy, to the 660, and I want to say that the 660 is only a marginal improvement, and of course it has better performance per watt. So we may actually want to hang on to this little card that I found. Luckily I managed to scrape up an i5 board. It's pretty much where we want to be in terms of performance, and it also has the micro ATX. Oh, and Wi-Fi. That's quite a bit of an improvement there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this motherboard out. We're going to put the i5 in there. Hopefully the position of the fan fits similarly. Otherwise I'm going to have to do some radical shit to make it work. But I do have another cooler here, a stock cooler, that might be able to work. Intel stock cooler. So if we run into a situation where it doesn't fit, we have a solution. So, okay, so we know that we're probably going to keep that graphics card, and another workaround for this is that there are a lot of low-profile cards that aren't that expensive that will probably perform better than this one, and that could just take us to the moon, pretty much, and we'll be solid. So I'm going to shut this down, and I'm going to take the board out of here so you can sort of see how I mounted that tray in there. Okay, now I know it's a bit of a mess inside here, but it's such a raga video. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is the power supply is actually held in with glue. You may have noticed some slight residue here. It's both super glue and hot glue, and it's solid enough. I'm not going to try and break it, but it doesn't seem to move a lot. And I've transported this thing before. I've never upturned it and turned it upside down, but I think it'd probably be okay. The reason why I used glue, as amateurish as that may sound, is just because I didn't want to disassemble the power supply, drill through it, make more mount points, put more holes in the briefcase, and then put it in a place where I wasn't quite sure at the time whether or not that would actually work where it was, and it did. So now this board, I had maxed out the amount of RAM entirely at 6 gigs. Now I think this other board could probably go up to 16 or 32, but I only have 16 gigs in my main computer, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to go more than 8 in this one. This motherboard has probably been in some other videos, I don't really remember which ones. Probably used as a test machine in a lot of them. Alright, that one's out. Oh yeah, and there goes my regular PCI from now on. Now you can see that this plate in here is micro ATX plate, and I just screw all the shit into that, and it doesn't move. Did I cut myself on this for like a 5th time? I might have. As you can see, some pretty jagged edges. I don't have a Dremel, and when I was cutting this thing up, it was the middle of the night, so I didn't want to bother my neighbors. So I was actually using tin snips to cut the whole case apart. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, and I have like a scar now from cutting myself on the case. So this isn't moving anywhere, and this was the thing I was the most afraid of, actually mounting this thing in here. And I'm glad it's solid, because my other plan would be to take these standoffs and screw them directly into the wood, which I was a little iffy about, since this seems like some really kind of cheap particle board or something. I have no idea. If you take a look at the bottom here, I have these like smoothed off bolts that don't have actually any like bit like Phillips or flat blade or anything, just to keep it more clean, since this is probably going to go on a flat surface. Even though these feet extend further than they do, just looks a bit better. Oh, that was a little scary. Okay, time for the transplant. I think this board is a lot narrower than the other one, because now I have all kinds of space on that side. Had I been working with this board from the beginning, I probably would have redone the whole thing. Either way, it'll still work. And that's the other wonderful part about this project, is that I can do stuff like this. It's still like a computer case. I can take a motherboard and put whatever I want in it. Now, since I'm hoping that this is going to be the last motherboard I put in this, I'm going to put some more screws in. For the past 13 or so years, I always had a bunch of bags of screws, but recently I decided to build a little screw box out of Legos, because I wasn't doing anything else with the Legos other than making really crappy computer cases. It closes up. It's like we have it's much more roomier now. I don't know why. Graphics card. I feel like that's also less cramped now. Everything's working out a lot better than the other one. Okay, so the biggest test right now, which is the one I'm most concerned about, is can it close? Probably shouldn't have put that in there for now, but let's just see if it boots up and everything first. Because you know I'm going to get all excited and then it won't close and then I'll shit. I can use a Dell power button with it, which also has LED light. Connect the watt meter so we can see how much our new processor is taken up. Okay, so we're using even less wattage sitting not powered on than before. Is that an improvement in efficiency after several years? That the board actually takes up less power? Or I've hooked something up wrong. I'm nervous about this just because I'm hyped for this moment. I've not done this yet. Oh my god, no! This is what happened before. Wait. Yes! Yes! System fan failure. That's probably because I don't have the rear case fan installed. Which I could plug in to make it shut up. No boot device available. It says it's available right there. What the hell? It says SATA 0 installed. I just need to plug it into another fucking SATA board. Plug it into number 1. Alright, so now it's actually detecting it, but it just doesn't want to boot off of it. Is it because it's an SSD and it doesn't like it? I find that rather hard to believe, since the older motherboard was able to boot off of it. So, man, I feel like I'm holding a game controller, like when I'm holding this. Okay, so let's find out why it doesn't boot. Now, if you've been keeping an eye on the watt meter, which you probably can't because of the weird exposure shit I got going on, it's sitting at about 44. Now, I never had the other one sitting idle like this, which if you're at BIOS, you're pretty much idle. So, but I want to say that's a bit lower than the other one was, I think. So, maybe we're going to do okay here. Maybe it has to do with legacy shit. Boot mode is set to UEFI. Let's set it to legacy. There we go. Probably should reinstall Windows with UEFI. I've never done that on any of my computers. Every single one of my computers still has legacy boot. Holy crap. Okay, so right now you'd kind of expect it to be using up a little bit more wattage because it's churning away right now, and we can see disk activity from this light. But something to keep in mind that because the i5 is so much more powerful than the Core 2 Quad, it uses less power to get done the exact same workload. It has not gone above 100 yet. By now we would have already seen 110. And now we've dropped to 38? That's lower than it was when we were idle, so... okay. I definitely feel like the computer's a lot snappier. For sure. Now, in both examples here, we have minimum graphics 720p. Oh yeah, by the way, the display has my speakers in it. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. Don't need to install speakers into it, although you very well could. We're currently locked at 60 frames per second. Smooth as butter. Now the video you're watching is only 30, so you'll have to just kind of take my word for it here that it looks and feels so much smoother. This is pretty much how the game felt when I played it back in the day on Windows Vista on the FX. This is more like it. Oh man, what a difference the processor makes. This is a newer generation processor than my main computer. I saw a little bit of hiccup there, but oh my god, sometimes Team Fortress 2 just lags because there's so much extra cosmetic crap going on. Although, since these are bots, they won't have any weird stuff on them. 60, and we're below 50 watts. I'm just astounded. You're actually using less power by using more power. An i5 instead of a Core 2 Quad. It's like the greener way to go. And you know how I feel about that green. Oh, I died. And we dropped down to, right now, 47, but we haven't dropped below 60, so I think that's pretty good. This is a pretty intense battle here, and since we're still sort of in it, because it's still being rendered in the area, that's more what I can tolerate. And part of it, and I think the limitation we're running into now is our graphics card. A little bit. But even still, we're doing absolutely fantastic now. This is extremely playable. Like, it is night and day from where we started. We've completed the mission of the dream of having a LAN party computer that can at least play TF2 competently, or as good as my main computer. I'm now going to turn the graphics up all the way. The graphics are now maxed, and the resolution is the monitor's native, and it still looks great. The game looks even better now. And we're pretty much haven't broken I wasn't making it. We haven't really gone above. Oh, I died, but who cares? It looks amazing. It plays fine. Now, look. Oh, and you might say, "Oh, well, big deal. You played a game that's 13 years old. Big whoop." Well, it's kind of a big whoop because I made an improvement, and I suppose this has been an interesting project. We got to do something modern. We got to play a modern game. What modern games do I have? So right now I'm downloading and installing some games for doing a little bit more testing. But until then, I want you to take a look at this. This is a 100 watt power supply from the Dark Ages. It doesn't even have the longer connector there. But in theory, I could have actually used this. This is a power supply that I used on a previous video when probably one of the Windows 98 machine ones, I'm not quite sure. If you take a look at the dimensions here, it is a bit smaller, and if I have it like this, I might be able to put somewhere else in the case. And since we're actually looking at the wattage here, we haven't gone above 100 watts, so in theory we could plug it into this. I wouldn't ever do this, but in theory if I really wanted to go smaller I could, because we're not, this setup as it is right now doesn't use up enough power, but you want to keep it, you don't want to get anywhere near this number. You don't want to get anywhere near the max. You want to keep it as low as possible, have a lot of breathing room, because what can happen is if you go too close, you can have crashes, the whole thing will shut off, weird glitches, and bullshit, the processor not getting enough power, it's not good. And this power supply is the power supply that was in like one of my childhood Windows 98 computers that was my mom's or something. It's so small and underpowered that I even scribbled out the letters NFG, which means not fucking good, because apparently it was fucking up. and then it stopped, so I scribbled it out. So what if it starts doing it again? I don't know. Now what about space? What about storage? Right now we have a 128 gig SSD in there. And since SSDs take up such little space, if I was going to LAN party and I wasn't quite sure what game we were going to play, I just decided to download most of them in the event that we might change games on a whim. This is like not all my SSDs, but this is a grip of them. And just take a couple off so that the monitor can fit. And yeah, you can spread them out in here, whatever. Got a couple SATA ports, plug multiple in at a time. You know, there's enough room here to do that. So, yeah. It's kind of funny that we're actually just downloading the games right now, and it's using up more wattage than it was when I was playing TF2, which is weird. I don't know why that is. Could have something to do with this. It is a quad core. And now that it's dropped off, see how there's that little, you know, it dropped off? Guess what else dropped off? The wattage. So the CPU utilization is directly correlates to the wattage use. And I would say it causates as well. Is causates a word? As for memory usage, we're doing great on 8 gigs right now. When it comes to disk space, we're kind of running out of it. You know, I could spend the rest of this video playing every single game in my Steam library to see how well it does. But since we only have so much time today, I'm just going to pick a couple that, see, they're not exactly like the bleeding edge of graphics technology. I'm not going to try and play the new Call of Duty on this, but I'm going to play a couple that hit a little bit harder. This is Deep Rock Galactic. We're getting about 36 frames per second, which is not great. And it's doing it already just in the space rig. We're not even in a mission right now with a bunch of buggies. And it's already a little less than I would have liked, but this is by no means the game I was planning on playing. Also, we're hitting an unprecedented number right now in terms of wattage. 78 watts, but it's still lower than the max we hit with the other board. CPU isn't fully utilized, but the GPU sure is. It's totally maxed out trying to run Deep Rock. You can probably hear that the computer's a little bit noisier. We actually just passed 80, and it seems to be just ticking up a little bit slowly, little by little. Or are we holding now? I'm not sure. Depends on what's actually happening in the animations in the game in the background. But really, this is no different from any other computer build video. The wattage we don't even really care about, because I'm not going to put the 660 in there. Although I will say that if I did, it would probably have no problem running Deep Rock Galactic. I also have a GTX 970, but I wouldn't even fucking begin to try to put that in there, because the card is probably too long to even fit in the case. And the other thing is that if I did want to take this with me, look how much space it would have to take up in my junk pile here that's reserved for other things like keyboards and SSDs and shit. It would just barely fit. In fact, it doesn't fit. It does not fit. Just to put it in the storage bay. Well, that's got to answer your question right there. Could it go like this? Maybe, but I don't really want to have something loose moving and scratching around on the board. It could lop a capacitor off and then the whole thing's done. Well, there we go. If I wanted to make this any better, perform any better, I would just have to go with a newer, better, low-profile card. And you can also have these things where it's a riser connector where it takes your card and you can flip it 90 degrees so that I could actually close the computer, but since I didn't account for that happening, it would collide with this. So I'd have to rethink where I'd put things, so it'd be another puzzle to have to worry about. Our next game is really going to smear the shit. Now, Everspace is not exactly a LAN party game since it's single player only, but it is a little bit more graphically intense. This actually runs surprisingly well. I thought it was really going to crap itself there for a little bit. Now this game is absolutely gorgeous, and I've played it on stream before on a different video. But it's UE4, really dazzling graphics. Can't wait for the next game to come out. But this isn't exactly a gaming commentary channel, so I'll keep it simple to just the performance. Yeah, 30 FPS, roughly. 30, 40 FPS. So in a pinch, if I do want to play a newer game, I'll just need to turn some graphics down, deal with some low frame rate, but it's not going to be as embarrassing as the Gateway FX. And I think that we've actually completed our mission. We've done everything. So that only leaves us with one final challenge, and that is, can the case successfully close with the new motherboard in it? Whew. Yes, I'm a little nervous about this one, because if it can't, I'm going to have to do some chopping. That's where I was going. Probably leave this plug in. Like that. I'll try to take a set to pack it up. Alright, so we've got mouse, keyboard, power, display, connector, graphics card. We'll put that in there like that. It's not the best. Alright. Ooh, I don't think that's going low enough, but can we close it? Okay. This is too thick. Can we close it without it? Oh, it cleared! It cleared! Oh, yeah. Keyboard is, and graphics card and everything is loose in there. Oh, man. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, man. It's so rewarding having made this from the ground up. Just to see it all come together like this. Padding. I might just want to use something else in place of this, because what's happening is this is compressing, because this didn't this is now above this by like a centimeter or so. It was pushing into the display. I didn't want the display to pop, so I didn't keep pushing. But if I leave this stuff where it is well below it, but when I move it around, this is going to go like this. This is all going to jumble around. If I have something to kind of brace it, it won't move. So I haven't got that part solved. I thought about maybe using some straps, like stapling or bolting in some straps to kind of like around this, and so I can put all my junk underneath some straps to hold it down, kind of like Not Quite Human 2 style with his suitcase, where he would just have random PCBs in his suitcase held in with straps or something like that. So this is like Not Quite Human 2. Is this where my real inspiration came from? Just some weirdo kid. They couldn't really understand why. They open up his suitcase thinking to find there's some clothes or something in here, only to see some crazy ass shit. Now, if you ever make one of these, don't go on a plane with it, because I feel like anybody who's checking through your luggage is going to immediately think this is a bomb and take you aside. And you're probably not going to go to jail, because they're going to find out that this is a fully functional computer. You'll have to take them aside and play Everspace for about 15 minutes just to make sure that it is legit. But they're going to look through it and find out that there's no explosive component, because usually those are somewhat conspicuous. They might think it's packed into the power supply, but once you turn it on, they're usually okay with that. But I think by that point, they'll be pretty suspicious in asking you questions that whatever flight you were going to take, yeah, you probably just missed it. Bring a laptop instead in that situation. I think I'd be better off by just putting some bubble wrap in there. And just because some of you may be worried about the graphics card. The bubble wrap is also could fuck with our motherboard, I guess. But there. That's about the kind of padding we need. Oh yeah, and if you're gonna do this, you gotta make sure you get a briefcase that has these little locking levers. Otherwise, the whole project is gonna suck. The coolest part about it, you can carry it around like this, and you can set it down like that. And so we have old LAN Party computer, new LAN Party computer, finally completed and done. Whew. So thanks everybody for watching. Sorry again, it's been a long time since I uploaded a video. I've actually recorded a couple videos over this kind of another hiatus. I know it happens all the time. But I do have some content already recorded. It just hasn't been edited because I really don't like how some of these recordings I've made have turned out. Hopefully I'll actually get to editing this one. Since I'm pretty dang excited about it, I probably will. These are kind of popping up a bit. They're really super conspicuous, but oh well. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for sticking with the channel. Oh, almost forgot. All my music that I've made several years ago is now on Spotify, Apple Music, and pretty much every other online music store out there, or music streaming service. So if you want to help support the channel and you're interested in hearing some of my music, but you're not interested in dealing with Bandcamp or manually downloading music and prefer to stream it, you now have some options. Apple Music, Spotify, all of that. Just search Draga1 and you'll get there. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for sticking with the channel after so long. I will see you guys next time.
Bomb has been planted.